Hello friends, today we're going to talk about a throat center, which is another very important center, so we're going to spend some time talking about it. And today we're just going to go over what we've learned so far. This is my body graph, and so we covered pretty much at this point, I believe, 5 centers. Let's go over them. This is the emotional center, this is the sacral center, this is the spleen center, this is the ego center, this is the G center, and this is the throat center, the blue round circle. And today we're going to talk about the throat center. What makes it unique, the throat center, is this is your access to share your inner world with the outer world. Basically, you're sharing your emotions, your feelings, who you truly are with the outer world, with external world. And some people would think that you just have to be a speaker in order to express yourself. This is actually not true. You could be a dancer, you could be an artist, you could be a singer. All of that is still self-expression of your throat. And there is 28% of the people who have a clear throat center, but the rest have a colored throat center. Now, what's important is also what is your throat center is connected. Let's look at example of mine. I'm connected to emotional center, I'm connected to the spleen center, I'm connected also to the G center and also to the ajna center. And so now, one by one, I would like to explain what it also means. Now, let's start with the ajna center. If you're connected, by the way, if you have a full line like this, do you see my red line that is connected from gate 62 to 17? If you have, and we'll talk about gates in a week and a half after this weekend, we're going to begin slowly introducing the gates and channels. But right now I would like for you to know that sometimes you have half. For example, from my sacral center, I have only half of the line. That means if you have the same half of line from any other centers, that means it's a hanging gate. That means if you are with your partner who has, let's say, from G center to the sacral center, this line from 15 to 5, meaning your line comes halfway here and his line is coming from this way, that way, you are creating a full channel. But right now, what I really want to go over again is if your throat is connected by a full channel like this, in mine is between the throat and the ajna center, that means you are expressing your thoughts using logic. And a lot of people who are logical, especially men, especially women who are projectors and manifestors, they will understand a concept better through logic. But how do people usually speak from their logic? They're walking, all of a sudden they got inspiration to share something and they share their thoughts and people listen. Now, this is how ajna works. Now, with regards to the G center, the G center, and again, I'm not going to discuss right now the gates, but I just want you to fully understand the way the G center and the throat connects. If I'm speaking from my heart, there is no need for even logic, because there's certain knowledge that is the sacred knowledge, spiritual knowledge that I share from my heart. Some people who are also in the spiritual journey, they just feel the vibration and they connect to my message and they listen to that. And like we shared yesterday about the G center is your center that connects to everybody, where you love not just your partner, your kids, or your parents, but everyone, meaning the plants, the nature, the ocean, the animals, everything around you. This is your compass for life. That is your energy of love. Now, if you have emotional center connected to the throat, that means you can, if you especially have the channel 1222, This is a rare channel, but if you do have especially that particular channel, you pretty much can control people's emotions. But you gotta control obviously in a good way. Meaning, for example, I was in South Africa last month and I had a chance to make a difference with children. I had no idea that 970 kids and 12 teachers and principals would greet us, because thanks to you, some of you ladies who were in the program prior to that, thanks to you, Kristen, I was able to purchase uniforms and shoes and go to school and donate it to orphans and kids who don't have parents. And so while I am on my way heading to school, all of a sudden I see this huge crowd of children and the teachers and people who have connection between throat and emotional center and the gates 12 to 22, they have no fear of speaking in front of public. But moreover, not that I was not afraid, I also felt the emotions of kids and the teachers. It's like full connection with the crowd, and I could move their emotions in any directions. First, I acknowledged them for who they are. No matter how they're struggling, they're still going to school, even though they didn't have parents. So they felt touched by my speech. Then I start slowly talking about wildlife and the crisis in their country about wildlife. It's a very uncomfortable conversation for people in this part of town that I was speaking to, because for many generations they were killing wildlife in order to survive. But in a way, I was speaking to them, was coming not from the head, but from the heart, that in the process they were able to get touched and moved. And most of them got interested to see safari and Moholo Holo Center that I took again all of these orphans a few days later to show them wildlife. And so people who had also this gate was Adolf Hitler. But again, people who are using this channel to hurt people will be facing the karmic consequences afterwards. But if you are spiritually awakened, you're gonna use this channel to empower people, to enlighten them. And so that is the channel 1222, but there's other channels that again are connected between your throat and to your emotion. But at the same time, if you're living life on a low vibration, the throat and emotional center also means that you will be putting your partner or your family through a roller coaster of emotions, basically living life like a Spanish soap opera, or I would call it a bachata dance, meaning love and hate, back and forth. And again, without these people, life would be very boring. Now, if you have connection between your throat and ego center, that means you are all about I need to, you need to. We need people like that. These are people like Tony Robbins, Susie Orman, and motivational speakers and fitness coaches who tell you you can do it, you can finish up. It's their mojo. I have to, I need to. And again, they're very financially motivated, but again, at the same time, without these people, some of the men who are committed to losing weight and staying in shape or eating healthy, that would be practically impossible, because some of the people need that push. And this works especially good for men, masculine men. Thanks to this ego center, we have Navy SEALs, Navy and Army and etc. Because I have to protect my family, I have to protect my country. Also, that goes towards this ego center connected to the throat. Now, if you have a spleen center connected to your throat, you intuitionally born to be a healer, but not just a healer, through body. These are people who are born to be yogis, or later in life they start to study Nidra yoga, Tantra yoga, all kinds of yoga, because again, through asanas, you first heal your body and then you're starting to rise towards your consciousness. But before any meditation, please know that yogis always do asanas, at least 3 asanas that helps to experience Kundalini. Kundalini means experiencing spiritual awakening. The next center, let's talk about it. If the sacral center is connected to the throat center, that means you're a very charismatic person. And that means, again, like a G center, sacral center is all about giving love to humanity, sharing this feeling of warmth that you're holding and hugging people. And so if you're not manipulating and you're not living life in a low vibration, people gonna gravitate towards you. It doesn't matter whether it's gonna be through dance or through art or through your speaking or through your reading or through your managing or doing anything else. People just gonna feel your warmth and they're gonna follow you. People who had these channels are President Obama and Bill Clinton. A lot of charisma, and people felt that they could trust them. And so this is the channel again that is sacral center, that is connected to the throat. But now let's also discuss, what if you have a clear throat center? Like in all other centers, if you have a clear throat center, all that means that you will be a reflection of people around you. And please also remember that maybe you have a clear center. I don't have a picture of it right now, but let's imagine it's not blue, but it's white. But you have 3 circles associated with that clear center. That means those 3 circles, which we'll again talk about it in a week, that means that is your interest in life. And that is, again, your settings. And you should be exploring that interest. Now, if you have a hanging gates, meaning don't have the full channel going from your throat to emotional or spleen center, but it's halfway full. Like you see, from my spleen center to the throat, I have a half a channel. And if I'm gonna meet somebody from the channel who is from halfway from the throat to the spleen center, halfway here, that means with that particular person, I will have even deeper intuition how to help others, and I will be connected deeper to their feelings and emotions. So each hanging channel, if you have half of it, you can check, does your partner have a half that completes yours? And then together you have a full channel. Now let's talk about it. If you have a clear throat center and you are living life on a low vibration, that means you either gonna be very quiet, very insecure, and staying away from people, or you will be gibberish, talking nonsense and annoying people. That is, again, if you have a low vibration. Now, if you have a high vibration and you have a clear center, that means you're predisposed to be the best listener. And you could be sitting in front of people whole hour and a half quiet, but afterwards you can just give this joke and everybody would laugh, or you can make a comment that everybody would listen and it will go right in the target to what this person was talking about for an hour and a half. Or you could be asking the best question, which will tell from the whole crowd that only you truly understood what was this topic about. So people with the clear throat center have a lot of potential power to be the best listeners. And people who have a color throat center could be potentially the best speakers if they have a high vibration. If they have a low vibration and they're still asleep, this one will be either very quiet who have a clear center or talking non-stop. And also people who have a color center, they will be talking and also not knowing when to stop. And both will be annoying each other. And so people who have a high vibration, they feel when they can speak and when to stop talking. And this person with the clear center knows how to listen, when to ask the right questions or make remarks that will make a tremendous difference. Now, at the same time, please know that if you have this high vibration and you're living a conscious life, you will be attracting the right people at the right time to bring the most value to humanity. And when you bring the most value to humanity, to you, from your self-expression, from your throat, everything works and flows. We just gotta disconnect from the illusion that you cannot do something that you're really passionate about it. Now, I shared that many times, and for those of you who don't know, I'll share that again. In 2020, I started to experience that I need to stop working, because all of the signs 3 or 4 months prior to that, I had headaches, migraine headaches, panic attacks, anxiety, and all of that was indication that I was done working. And at 3:30, 3:45 a.m. every morning, I felt a knock on my chest. And that's why I was waking up and I'm like, okay, what can I do? And of course, I would meditate 2 hours earlier than I usually do. And there was a clear message, clear direction that I have to stop working. And so I stopped working, but for 3 months I felt like, what will I do now? Of course, I enjoyed being a mom. I enjoyed being a wife and not working. It's fabulous. But at the same time, after 3 months, there was a clear message and a knock on my door that it's time for me to share that with the rest of the people. And so I opened my YouTube channel and Instagram and started slow by slow sharing, because as you can see, my throat has several channels. And so I meant to speak. And the center was emotional center, with G center, with ajna and spleen center. So I meant to be a speaker. And so now try to make me quiet. It's practically impossible. And the more I was speaking, the more I realized that I always wanted to do that. But at the same time, I was always feeling that who would want to listen to me with my Russian accent in United States? But the deeper motivation and calling could not stop it. And I knew that even if I'll speak for the rest of my life, not making a penny, I would still feel content. But at the same time, we always know that when you bring a value to people, to your family, to humanity, Creator will take care of you. Creator, God, or universe in your own understanding. And so now, honestly, I feel like I live a very blissful and delicious life, because I get to stay in my feminine flow, in my feminine energy, honoring myself, my relationship with Creator, husband and son, and at the same time speak, because it's my true self-expression, because I outgrew being just a life coach, hypnotherapist, and counselor, and really share my experience and knowledge with the world. And in the process, as I'm making a difference with you and other listeners, of course, the universe will take care of me. And in the process, as I'm making money, I have 4 people that is supporting me, so I employ them. They're taken care of. And at the same time, the rest I can also donate to kids in South Africa who are orphans. And so it's such a win-win situation. And what comes in mind also, the self-esteem. People with a healthy self-esteem versus people who have a low self-esteem, they will sit at the table and there's one apple. And people who have an illusion of high self-esteem will just take an apple, even though their friend is sitting in front of them, and start eating. And then we'll look at the friend and say, oh, you're hungry too? You wanted to have an apple? After they finish the apple. So this is the sign of an illusion of a self-esteem. People who have a low self-esteem, they will say, do you want an apple? And the person will say, yes, I do want an apple. And so the person will eat an apple and they will think, wow, they didn't even share it with me. And so this person will be hungry. And this is the clear sign that they have a low self-esteem. And people with the healthy self-esteem will say, do you want to split an apple? And they will split it. Or if the person doesn't like an apple, it will say, do you mind if I'll give you the apple and you can share with me half of your sandwich in the refrigerator? And this is a win-win situation. And same thing with your high vibration. When you have a high vibration and you live a conscious life, you are always thinking about value and value. Because if right now you have a newborn, obviously your most important value is being at home and raising your son or your daughter. Now, as your kids get older and you feel that this is your intuition, if you have a sacral center, if you're a projector, you know you're interested to becoming a healer or a speaker or explore something that you're interested in. Of course, if you're a manifestor, you're constantly looking who can you influence. And if you start to listen to your body, you know that you can work only few hours a week and still bring a value. And this value will always take care of you. You don't need to be in a system of a slavery where you go to work that you don't like and continue to deteriorate yourself. Because how the throat starts to hurt, for example, for many years when I was in a relationship prior to my marriage, I would date a man for a year and then I would feel that my biological is ticking, but I'm not getting proposed. But I was suppressing, asking, are you interested being in a committed relationship? Where are we heading? I didn't know this feminine flow and I didn't know how to ask these questions. And so I constantly were having a sore throat, a flu, colds. Please know that if you're not self-expressing yourself, your throat will give you all of the colds and flus and all of the spiral infections. Ear, nose, throat, all of the suppression that you are not self-expressed. You're not sharing yourself. And some of you will say, well, I am not expert in natural medicine or yoga or singing or drawing or something else. But you can start taking lessons. And after 6 months, it's already time for you to start sharing this knowledge. And maybe in the beginning you can just do the donations. But after a year, after you've done, let's say, 20 yoga sessions or 20 beautiful artwork that you produced, you can start teaching and then start charging money. And this money will feel so ecological, harmonious with you and all of your centers, because you are charging what you deserve for your value. And people will be happy to pay for you because, again, you're bringing the value to them. Again, in the 21st century, we wanted to concentrate on value, value, and value, and self-expressing yourself. Even if your throat center is clear, you're still reflecting of other people who are near you, or you have hanging gates, which is just half of the gates that is coming out of your throat, or you have circles that indicating your interest, that you can again express yourself to the world. With that said, this is our throat center, and I look forward to sharing Ajna Center with you tomorrow. Namaste, my friends.